Abhay Parasnis is the founder and CEO at Typeface. Join us here for Floor Talk at the New York Stock Exchange. It's great to have you here today.
Great to be here.
Let's start with a big picture overview of Typeface. What is it all about for any of our viewers a bit unfamiliar, Abhay?
Yeah, as you know, there's a lot going on in the world of AI, but one of the things we focus on is how some of the biggest brands and companies on the planet, how they use the power of these AI systems to change their entire marketing, how they tell their stories, how they engage with their customers in a meaningful way. And so we are the leading AI marketing platform for some of the biggest enterprises on the planet.
Do you think that the world of artificial intelligence took the marketing and branding communities by surprise in the last few years at all?
I think so. Pretty much AI has taken everyone by surprise, but especially I would say within marketing and branding, as you know, in storytelling, that world has been a little bit stuck in the past, if you will, because the world of data and analytics and insight has gone through a big transformation over the last decade or so. But on the other side of marketing and brand, it is still a little bit of a very manual, very cumbersome, very much kind of these agency-led workflows. And so I think when these AI systems came along, first there was a little bit of a denial. Like, oh, AI is not going to really be able to do a great job on creative aspects like branding. But as these models are getting more powerful and can reason and actually do some amazing things, I think marketers and especially CMOs are really excited. They are seeing the power of what these systems can do to elevate their brand to the next level.
What are some of those really the most exciting emerging technologies that are being embraced by storytellers, by brands, by marketing officials? And how does Typeface come into that relationship?
Yeah, I would say there are two broad vectors of how these AI systems are impacting how CMOs and brands look at their world. First, one of the biggest challenges, as you know, is where there's so much content, is how do you stand out? And so the first wave I would say of AI as applied to marketing is deep personalization. Where can I make these AI systems learn uniquely about your brand, how your brand can speak to a customer in your language, in your product speak. And so deep personalization was the first wave, I would say, of AI. And actually Typeface led that wave with our kind of a proprietary personalization engine that allows CMOs to tailor their messaging to each customer, to each product category, to each geography. So that was the first vector of technology. I think the second, which is now what's playing out, is these agentic systems where you can train these AI agents. And we just launched a few months ago our next generation of AI agents for marketers. So if you are an email marketer that's actually trying to send emails, we have all experienced like we don't want to receive the same cut and paste email that everyone else gets. So these AI agents can automate the entire workflow now uniquely for your brand, so your customer sees that you are speaking to them individually. And so I would say these agent-based workflows is the next technology vector that's going to play out now.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned agent-based workflows because it seems so rapidly we went from the first conversation of artificial intelligence to now agentic AI, technology that not just thinks for itself, but now takes it a step further in acting. What do you hope Typeface is able to do more and more leaning into the agentic AI of these conversations?
Yeah, I think, first of all, you have to really start with a base platform. So I don't think you can just jump to agentic AI without having a foundation of data that you're training these models on, your proprietary data, your brand voice. So the first thing we encourage customers we have this thing called Gen AI maturity model, where establish your brand hub, establish your brand voice, train these AI systems to uniquely learn how your brand actually can speak. But once that's done, to your point, these agents can unleash a level of productivity in your marketing. So I'll give you a couple of examples. One of the largest grocery chains in the country actually uses now Typeface to deeply train and personalize millions of emails that they send. But the emails actually have very unique images and text copy that is different by different customers. And so they are actually seeing significant improvement in their email conversion and open rates. And so I think those kind of workflows where you personalize and then you deliver and tailor the content that you deliver is probably the next big frontier with these agents.
I'm curious the overall agencies or the industries, I should say, that you've seen embrace Typeface. Are there particular parts of the marketing and storytelling world that you found are maybe faster adopters to the type of technology that you offer than others?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. As you know, anytime there is a step function change and it's going to disrupt the industry, there are some people who get excited and are on kind of the leading edge, and there are some that are kind of grudgingly maybe, or they have a lot to lose. I would say that what's been fascinating and exciting for Typeface is the CMOs and the marketers themselves are really excited about the power of these systems. And so to answer your question, email marketing, social media ads, and like how companies do their advertising on various ad platforms, as well as web content are the three areas where marketers are really jumping very quickly to using solutions like Typeface. But some of the agencies are a little bit nervous because they have to now reinvent themselves and their business model. But even there are some world-class agencies that are partnering with Typeface and saying, hey, we should actually participate in this transformation that's going to happen.
What are your thoughts as you look at a company like Google announcing their Veo? I mean, the social media viral images are staggering with how easy it is now, easier than it was even just a handful of weeks ago to create these stunning images in AI. And what does this mean to the conversation for where Typeface is and where you go to meet your customer base?
Yeah, no, first of all, I mean, Google is a great partner for us. They're an investor in the company, along with Microsoft, along with Salesforce. And so we have been very fortunate where these big platform companies have partnered with Typeface and they are integrating their solutions with our solutions. So one of the things we are seeing, to your point, is now the complexity and cost of creating these ads on platforms like Google's platform or Microsoft's ecosystem is becoming so easy now. So they're actually super excited with solutions like Typeface because it makes actually job of marketers and brand creatives to leverage Google's platforms and ad platforms that much easier now. So the more actually we can create amazing creative and content, then those ads become more effective. And so I think they are super excited. I do think there is a lot of noise right now, but as we get through the next couple of years, you're going to see a step function change in the quality and the quantity of advertising, the effectiveness, the efficacy, and most importantly, the human storytelling, where you can actually tell stories that are emotionally super connected to each customer.
I like you said that that's the most important part of the equation, that we don't lose the uniquely human component of the overall space. You're not just CEO of the company, you're also the founder. What is one lesson you wish you had learned a little bit sooner in your journey as a founder?
Well, how much time do we have? I mean, there are probably lessons to learn every day, but I would say probably the biggest lesson, and continues to be a lesson, is the team. Actually surround yourself with some of the best people. Now we are fortunate right now with AI being such an inflection point. There's huge interest in the market. The technology is moving at a staggering pace. And so we have to constantly push ourselves on behalf of customers. But I think if you actually get some of the best who are motivated to participate in the transition, I know it sounds cliche, but for me, I always knew it was about the team. But if I had to go back and remind myself, that is probably the single biggest thing that's going to distinguish some of the biggest winners of this wave versus those who don't make it.
I know it's very difficult to predict the future, especially in an age of quickly emerging technologies like this. If I had to ask you your best sense on where you think or maybe where you hope the world of marketing goes in the next 3 to 5 years, what does that look like?
I think that's a big question. And I think a lot of people are trying to predict for every function, marketing, sales, support. I think for marketing, I would say there are probably two vectors that I'm most excited about that are going to play out. One, the scale at which we can now do amazing, effective marketing for every brand on the planet. You don't have to be a multi-trillion-dollar brand like Apple to really do biggest and best advertising, which they do. But now imagine now that power of establishing your brand like that on a global scale becomes within reach of every brand on the planet, because these AI systems will allow you to do creative campaigns, email marketing, web campaigns at a scale and speed that you never thought possible. So I think one vector is going to be amazing speed and scale. That's kind of one. But maybe the counterintuitive thing, back to what you said, is I think the human efficacy of telling stories and actually the emotional content, people who figure out how to leverage these AI systems to do mass automation, but then inject that very human touch, creativity, emotional storytelling, I think that's ultimately going to still be the currency, even in the age of AI, which is how brands break through and actually punch above their weight in terms of the deep, deep connection of their brand with their customers.
Abhay, Parasnis, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the success.
Thank you.